And in this video, we're going to find an equation of a line through two given points. The points I've selected are 4, -3 and -1, 5. Okay? So in order to make any equation of a line, we need to have the slope first. Let's remind ourselves of what the slope formula is. Given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, the slope of a unique line through these 2 points is calculated by using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So let's write that formula down first. This is the slope formula. Okay? And I'm going to put those points in this formula. Now we can label x1 and y1 to be either point. Doesn't matter. Since this one's written first, we'll just label this x1, this y1, and then this would be x2 and y2. Right? So let's fill in that formula now and get the slope. So it says to put in y2, so we're going to put in 5 minus y1, which would be -3. Notice I put parentheses there to indicate that I'm going to simplify that and to keep the structure there. And then x2 is -1 and minus x1, which is 4. Okay, so there's our slope formula filled in. And then we calculate it. What is 5 plus -3? It's 8. And -1 minus 4 is -5. So we have -8/5 is our slope. Now, there's 2 ways to go about finalizing this, getting this equation that we're asked for. The first way is to use what's called the point slope form. And that is using one of these points, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? We're going to fill in what we have here. We're going to use this point, for instance. We could use either point. Doesn't matter. We get the same equation. And we're going to fill in this slope that we just calculated. So let's put that information in. I'm going to write it like this in black for the parts of the formula that are going to stay the same. And then in blue, I'll fill in the information that we have. y1 is -3, so that goes here. And again, we put parentheses around it so we get the signs right. The slope is -8/5, that goes here. And x is 4. Okay, so there's our equation of the line. And technically, we've answered the question. Now, you'll have to pay attention to what the computer problem asks you as far as form is. Often it'll ask for slope-intercept form. You're probably familiar with that. That slope-intercept form. I abbreviated intercept there so I could fit it in. Is y equals mx plus b. Okay? So they may want this in slope-intercept form. is what I'm saying. So to get that there's just a couple of steps. We need to simplify this. Y plus 3, that's what minus negative 3 means here. And then we need to distribute this fraction across that parenthesis there. So that's negative 8/5 x. And negative 8/5 times negative 4, remember we multiply fractions by multiplying the tops and the bottoms, that's 4 over 1. So a negative times a negative is a positive, right? And 8 times 4 is 32, 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, we're almost there. Notice we have mx plus a number here, but that's not b because we need to get just y over here. This has just y. So I'm going to subtract 3 here. When I subtract 3 over here, I need to have it in fifths. Each unit of 3, each one that's involved in 3 of the 3 ones that are there, is 5/5. So together, I'm subtracting 15/5. We change this to fifths by multiplying by 5 over 5 and get 15/5. And so my final answer is y equals negative 8/5 x plus, and 32 minus 15 is 17/5. And we circle that. Okay, so that's the first method. Now there's another method that the book doesn't talk about much. And that is to use this slope-intercept form directly to figure out b. As I said, we could pick either point to plug into this equation. We chose this one the first time. Let's choose the other one and see if we get the same answer. So in this version of it, I'm going to substitute in x and y, a particular point, and the slope that I calculated before, so that the only thing I don't know is b. And I'm going to solve for b. Okay, so let's use x2, y2 here. y2 is 5, and m is negative 8/5. The x is negative 1 plus b. Okay, so I plugged in everything. The only unknown I have is b here. I'm going to solve for that. Okay, so now the next thing I do is simplify this. Negative 8/5 times negative 1. We'll just change it to positive 8/5. And to find out b, I'm going to subtract 8/5 to the other side. Well, let me write that a little better. And again, I have that problem with the denominator. I don't have a common denominator here. This is 5 over 1. So if I want to change that to something usable is a better word, then I'm going to multiply by 5 over 5 again. I didn't write it out over there, but that's what I did with 3 here too. And 5 times 5 is 25/5. So that's how many fifths there are in 5. And if I subtract that 8/5, let's just move it over here so it's visual. 25 minus 8 is 17/5. That's the same b value I had over here. So, again, using that 17/5, in this slope negative 8/5, I can write it as that answer as well. The advantage of using this is that the equation is there already when you finish calculating. Here, when you finish calculating, you just have b. Should write that there. And we have to then rewrite it in the equation form. So that's everything you need to know about making an equation of 2 lines, of a line rather, given 2 points.